Hartford, Connecticut, 1910s. A Victorian mansion stands in silence. Within these walls once echoed the laughter of America's most famous writer. But tonight, when the lights go out, a tour guide asks a disturbing question. Are you sure you want to hear the dark story of Mark Twain's mansion? This house was built as a dream in stone and wood. Mark Twain laughed here with his 3 daughters, wrote his immortal books, and believed he had found his forever home. Giant Christmas trees touched the ceiling, dinners gathered the most illustrious guests, roaring stories filled the room around the fireplace. Then came the first blow, a child's illness who would never rise from that bed again. The second, crushing debts, failed investments, an evaporated fortune. And the third blow, the one that tightens your throat, the decision to abandon the house that now smells not of joy, but of death. Twain's mansion is rented out, divided into cheap offices, transformed into miserable apartments. The family home becomes a strange, dark labyrinth where people whisper about footsteps at night and the shadow of a little girl on the stairs. Decades later, someone wants to erase it from the face of the earth, to build a parking lot, and then, in the final moment, one last hope emerges. How did the house where jokes were born become the ghost of its own story? And why, against all odds, didn't it disappear forever? Chapter 1. The House That Laughed Before It Went Silent. The guide's hand slides to the light switch. Darkness swallows the drawing room of Mark Twain's mansion. 20 visitors stand perfectly still. Outside, traffic hums on Farmington Avenue. Inside, the silence feels older than the street itself. Can a house remember grief? The guide asks. Someone shifts uncomfortably. A phone screen glows for a second, then goes dark again. In this room, Samuel Clemens, Mark Twain, read stories to his 3 daughters every evening. They sat right there near that fireplace. He made them laugh. He made the entire country laugh. But in 1896, his eldest daughter, Susie, died upstairs. She was 24. Meningitis. Her parents weren't even home, and after that night, this house never laughed again. The lights snap back on. The tour resumes. One person stays longer. Maya, 28, architecture vlogger. She came to Hartford for content, a fancy Victorian house, strong visuals, standard stuff. She didn't expect the story to hit this hard. Maya lost her own father 2 years ago. Her family sold his house within months, too expensive to keep, too painful to visit. She stopped thinking about that house weeks ago, until now. She stands alone in the front hall, staring up at the carved wooden staircase. Late afternoon sun cuts through the stained glass windows, throwing red and blue patterns across the floor. They say a coffin was carried down these stairs in 1896, Susie's body leaving the house forever. Her father was on a lecture tour in England, desperate to pay the debts crushing him. Her mother, Olivia, travelled with him. The youngest daughter, Jean, was away. Only Clara, the middle child, made it home in time. Susie died in her childhood bedroom, delirious with fever, calling for her parents. The house couldn't save her. The fame couldn't save her. The money, what little remained, couldn't save her. Maya feels something tighten in her chest. She walks through the dining room. The long table is set with period china, as if the Clemens family might arrive any moment for dinner. But they never came back to live here. Not really. After Susie's death, the family returned to Hartford only once, briefly, to pack. Then they left for good. The mansion was rented out. Strangers moved in. The rooms that once held America's most famous household became anonymous apartments. Office spaces, storage rooms. By the 1920s, you could rent a cheap room here and never know whose laughter once filled those hallways. Maya climbs the back stairs, narrower and steeper than the grand main staircase. These were the servants' steps. They say 6 or 7 staff members lived and worked in this house during the Clemens years. Cooks, maids, a coachman. Their names are mostly lost. At the top, she finds Susie's room. The door stands open. The room is small, surprisingly plain compared to the ornate public spaces downstairs. A single bed with a white coverlet, a writing desk by the window, floral wallpaper faded but carefully restored. Maya stops in the doorway. This is where it ended. The dream of the house, the safety of childhood, the belief that success and love could protect you from the world. She takes a photo, then puts her phone away. Outside, the November wind rattles the windows. The house settles, creaking. Somewhere below, the last visitors are leaving. Maya thinks, I came here for a story about architecture, but this isn't about bricks and wood. This is about what happens when the dream collapses, when the house becomes a monument to everything you lost. She turns to go, but stops. On the small desk sits a reproduction of one of Susie's letters. Maya leans closer to read. The handwriting is careful, hopeful. A young woman writing about her future. She never got one. Chapter 2. Building a dream in brick and ghostly blue. Maya descends the main staircase slowly, trailing her hand along the carved banister. Every detail in this house was chosen, every color, every curve of wood, every pane of stained glass. Someone wanted all of this, planned it, believed in it. She wonders, what did Mark Twain see when he first stood on this empty hillside? Hartford, 1873. Farmington Avenue is mud and wheel ruts. The hill overlooks the city, but there's nothing here yet. Just wind, grass, and the distant thrum of factories and church bells below. Samuel Clemens stands with his wife Olivia and architect Edward Tuckerman Potter. Clemens is 37, famous, wealthy, hungry to build something permanent. He wants a house full of jokes, light, and children. Potter sketches ideas on a pad. Clemens keeps interrupting with his own visions. The billiard room should sit on the top floor with wide windows. The library must connect to the dining room so guests can talk through dinner. The porch should wrap around the house like a steamboat deck. Olivia has different priorities. Safety, warmth, a steady home where their 3 daughters can grow up far from the noise of hotels and rented rooms. The cost is substantial. The first budget sits around $45,000. By the time construction ends, the total climbs closer to $70,000. In 1874 money, that's a fortune. But Clemens feels sure of himself. His books sell, his lectures pack halls. The money seems to flow in as fast as he can spend it. The architect nods, adjusts his sketches, takes notes. Within weeks, full plans are drawn. The house rises slowly. First comes the foundation. Stone and brick sunk deep into Hartford clay. Then the walls, red brick with black and orange patterns woven into the facade. The style looks like a hybrid, Gothic touches, Victorian drama, a hint of steamboat whimsy. Workers haul lumber and glass up the hill. Masons lay brick in intricate patterns. Carpenters shape banisters and door frames. The house takes form, floor by floor, room by room. Clemens visits the site often, pacing through raw, echoing spaces, imagining where furniture will stand, where his daughters will chase each other. The interior work takes months. Italian craftsmen carve the woodwork. Artists stencil ceilings in jeweled tones. Stained glass windows are ordered from Louis Comfort Tiffany. The drawing room walls are dressed in embossed leather and painted wood. The library gets floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. Clemens insists on the latest technology. Running water in several rooms, central heating, gas lighting throughout. Later, a telephone when they become available. This house must be modern and comfortable. Proof that America can build something as refined as any home in Europe. Olivia chooses wallpapers and fabrics. She decides where beds and sofas will go. She thinks about morning light in the nursery and evening fires in the drawing room. By 1874, the house is finished enough to move in. Furniture arrives. Rugs unroll across polished floors. Books fill the shelves. Fires burn in every hearth. The Clemens family walks through the front door for the first time as residents. 3 daughters. Susie, the eldest, is 2 years old. Clara is an infant. Langdon, their son, died 2 years earlier at 19 months. The grief is still close. This house is meant to be a new beginning, a place where no more children are lost. Olivia stands in the front hall and looks up at the staircase. The stained glass, the painted ceilings. Clemens puts his arm around her. "We did it," he says. She nods. They believe this house will hold them, keep them safe, become the fixed center of their lives. Maya, standing in that same front hall more than a century later, knows what they didn't. The house will hold them for 17 years, and then it will let them go. Chapter 3. A house full of laughter. Then the cracks appear. Maya steps into the library and stops. The room feels alive in a way the others don't. Books climb from floor to ceiling. A fire would have burned in that fireplace most evenings. The chairs sit close together, as if the family just stepped out and might return any second. She imagines them here, Samuel Clemens reading aloud, shifting his voice for each character. 3 daughters curled on cushions, eyes wide. Olivia in her chair, listening, smiling. For 17 years, this house was exactly what they wanted it to be. The family settles in fully by late 1874. Susie is 2, Clara a baby, John will be born here in 1880. The girls grow up racing through these rooms, sliding down banisters, hiding in closets during games that echo through the halls. Clemens works upstairs in the billiard room. He writes at a small desk near the window, looking out over Hartford's skyline. This room becomes his favorite place. He paces while he thinks. He plays billiards between paragraphs. He reads drafts aloud to feel the rhythm. Here he writes The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Then The Prince and the Pauper. Then Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. The books that will shape American literature take form inside this crowded Victorian mansion on a hill. Downstairs, the house hums with daily life. Breakfast in the dining room, lessons for the girls in the schoolroom, Olivia managing staff, appointments, household budgets, the cook preparing meals, maids scrubbing, polishing, mending, the coachman tending horses in the stable out back. It takes serious effort to keep a house like this running. 6 or 7 staff members work here full-time. Groceries, coal, gas, repairs, the bills never stop, but the money keeps arriving. Clemens lectures, his books sell, new investments promise even larger returns. The family builds rituals. Each evening they gather in the library for readings. Clemens performs more than reads. He turns the lines into theatre. Every character gets a different voice, a gesture, a way of moving. The girls plead for one more chapter. He usually gives in. Christmas transforms the house. A huge tree rises in the front hall, reaching toward the stained glass skylight. Presents pile beneath the branches. Carols ring around the piano. Guests arrive from New York, Boston, even Europe. The rooms overflow with voices and laughter. Clemens loves hosting. Writers, editors, politicians, actors. Anyone interesting is welcome at his table. Dinners stretch late into the night. Conversations jump from literature to politics to the latest machines and inventions. Clemens holds court, telling stories until the table roars. But beneath the laughter, something is starting to crack. Maya opens her notebook and writes, "This house wasn't just shelter. It was their belief made solid. The idea that life could be controlled, shaped, made safe through money, planning, and care." She walks toward the dining room. The long table is set for a meal that will never be served. Silver glints in the afternoon light. She counts the place settings, 12, enough for the family and a circle of guests. She wonders how many dinners played out here, how many nights Clemens sat at the head of this table making everyone laugh, while upstairs on his desk, letters about debt waited to be opened. The mansion costs roughly $35,000 a year to maintain. Staff wages, coal for heating, gas for lighting, repairs, property taxes, food for a household that constantly entertains. The expenses march in week after week without break. Clemens earns well, but he spends more. He lives like a man who believes the river of money will never run dry. He invests constantly, boldly, often badly. He pours money into a new typesetting machine invented by James Page. The device promises to revolutionize printing. Clemens is sure it will make him millions. He watches his investment grow from thousands to tens of thousands, then to more than $200,000. The machine never works properly. He starts his own publishing company. At first it looks brilliant. The company publishes Ulysses S. Grant's memoirs, which sell in huge numbers. Clemens makes real money. But running a publishing house demands capital, focus, and hard business sense. The capital begins to drain away. At dinner parties, he's dazzling, sharp, funny, holding the whole table. In his study late at night, he's pale and tight-jawed. He opens letters from publishers, from Page, from banks. No matter how he shifts the figures, the totals move in the wrong direction. The house is still full of laughter, but under the jokes and music, something is already starting to crack. Chapter 4. The Empty Bedroom, where everything ended. Maya climbs the stairs slowly. She's been avoiding this part. She chose the bright rooms first, the library where stories were read, the dining room where guests roared with laughter. But now there's nowhere else to go. She has to face the room where the story breaks. Susie's bedroom sits at the end of the second-floor hallway. The door stands open. Late afternoon light angles through the window and catches dust motes drifting in the air. Maya steps inside. The space is smaller than she imagined. A single bed with a white coverlet, a writing desk by the window, floral wallpaper in faded pink and green, a short bookshelf with leather-bound volumes, a chair with a dress draped over the back, carefully posed by museum staff to suggest someone just stepped away. But Susie Clemens never stepped away. She died here. August 1896. The family is scattered. Clemens and Olivia are in England on a lecture tour, a last attempt to pay back crushing debts. Clara is with them. Jean is staying with family friends elsewhere in America. Only Susie has come back to Hartford. She's 24 that summer. She returns to the house and stays with the family's former housekeeper. She wants to be home. This place still holds meaning. No rented flat can touch. Safety, childhood, better days. Then she falls ill. It happens quickly. Fever, headache, confusion, meningitis, though doctors don't understand that at first. The housekeeper sends telegrams, urgent messages. Come home. Susie is very sick. But the Atlantic is wide. Telegraph lines carry words, not bodies. Clemens and Olivia scramble to book passage, but ships need days to cross. They pray, they wait. They hope the next telegram will say better. In Hartford, Susie's fever climbs. She becomes delirious. She calls for her parents. She can't understand why they're not at her bedside. The housekeeper sits with her hour after hour. Doctors come and go. Nothing they try makes a difference. The bedroom turns into a sick room. Medicine bottles cluster on the nightstand. Damp cloths lie ready for her forehead. The curtains are drawn against light that stabs at her eyes. Her writing desk remains in the corner, covered with her papers. Half-finished poems, letters she started but never sent, a journal where she wrote about what she wanted from the years ahead. She dreamed of becoming a singer, an opera performer. She had talent. She had plans. She stood at the edge of her adult life, ready to step onto the stage. Instead, she dies in her childhood bedroom on August 18th, 1896. She's not truly alone, but her parents are still far away. The telegram that reaches Clemens and Olivia at sea is short and final. Susie died today. Clemens reportedly breaks completely. Olivia collapses. Clara is shattered. At the next port, they turn the ship around and race back toward America. But they're too late for the funeral. Too late for anything except grief. When the family finally returns to Farmington Avenue, the house that once overflowed with life now smells of death and wilting flowers. Bouquets from the funeral still crowd the rooms. The air feels heavy, wrong. Clemens drifts through his own home like a visitor. He walks to Susie's room and stops in the doorway. He cannot step inside. Olivia tries once, then never again. The bedroom is shut. The door stays closed. The house itself feels cursed now. Every corner holds a memory of Susie as a child, running down the stairs, laughing in the library, playing piano in the drawing room. But she's not a child anymore. She's gone. And the house that was supposed to protect her did nothing. Within days, Clemens and Olivia leave Hartford. They can't stay in these rooms. Every wall presses on them. Every hallway whispers what they lost. They never live in this house again. Not as a family. Not in any real sense. The mansion on Farmington Avenue, built as a promise of safety and permanence, has become a monument to failure. The money is gone. The daughter is gone. The belief that you can build something strong enough to keep tragedy out is gone with her. Maya stands in Susie's room, staring at the empty bed. She thinks about her own father's house, how quickly they sold it, how no one wanted to walk through those rooms after he died, how a building can turn from home into prison in a single moment of loss. Downstairs, the museum day is ending. The guide's voice floats up faintly, wrapping up the last tour. Doors open and close, feet shuffle toward the exit. Maya takes one final look at the writing desk, at the books on the shelf, at the window where Susie must have stared out over Hartford and imagined a life she never got to live. Then Maya steps into the hall and pulls the door softly closed behind her. The first act is over. The dream has collapsed. What waits on the other side is darker.